KIMA Action News starts now.
Local TV reporters attacked a standoff with police. KIMA there from the very start of what turned into a situation that called in the SWAT team to a neighborhood in downtown Yakima. What's a parent to do when their kid comes home with a bucket full of candy? We talked with parents and a local dietitian to figure out some tips you can use to keep Halloween from being too unhealthy. We have our special report tonight on the missing in the Yakima Valley, but first, our top local story. The standoff in downtown Yakima over tonight. It began when a man with a knife threatened to kill one of our reporters and a city council candidate. Gustavo Holguin is live right now outside the home where the standoff happened. Gustavo.
Jake, I'm over here on 6th Street in between Walnut and Chestnut Avenue where a standoff right here just ended about an hour ago. Police came with people from their SWAT team, K-9 units, and their Violent Offenders Task Force after a man threatened somebody with a knife. Now, they did use a concussion grenade and some tear gas to try to get him out, and they thought he was going to give himself up at one point because he came to the door, but quickly retreated back in the building and locked himself up. And once none of that worked, they used the dogs to bring him in.
As he got closer, within about 30 feet, he pulled out a knife, threatening to kill us, and started running at us faster.
Jason White is one of the Yakima City Council candidates that was being interviewed by an Action News reporter when a man started to yell at them and threw a bottle as well.
I can go!
Yeah.
Shortly after that, the man pulled out a knife and they ran. That's when they called 911. Once police showed up, the man barricaded himself in a house on South 6th Street in between Walnut and Chestnut Avenue.
Put your hands up. Follow the instructions of the officers. You will not be heard.
White helped point officers in the right direction when they first arrived on scene. He says he sees angry people yelling in the street pretty often, but didn't expect the situation to escalate from there.
I just thought he was a guy just a little bit upset, but then when he pulled out the knife, it got really real. And the girls were, screaming and yelling and running.
Now, there are a couple people here picking up glass and other debris that was from the standoff. The police were here for about 6 hours, and they don't have an identity of the man just yet, but they do say he's in his mid to late 50s, and they said the landlord showed up not too long after the standoff ended, so they should have his identity pretty soon. Jake, back to you.
Okay, thank you very much for following up on that story, Gustavo. Hundreds of people are reported missing every year in Yakima County, and in many of these cases, people have been missing for years without any sign. Delmy Moran joins us in the studio with the first part of her special report to look into why these people go missing and why some are never found.
Yes, I spoke with the families who have missing loved ones, and they shared their stories and their experiences. I also spoke with the Yakima County Police Department, and they told me the 3 main reasons why people go missing and why they're never found. Here's the story.
Cody Turner's family says he seemed to be getting his life back together. He received his GED and had finally gotten custody to see his daughter.
He was headstrong, and once he had his mind made up to do something, he did it.
But his loved ones say something went wrong. He started using drugs again, and 1 year later vanished. Turner lived with his grandma at the time, and she says it was a normal day like any other. She thought he was going out to run an errand, but he never made it back home.
He looked at me and he said, "I'll be back later. I love you."
Turner disappeared July 26 of 2015. It's been almost 3 years and there is no trace or signs of where he could be. Turner's mother, Michelle Joe, says she hasn't been the same ever since he went missing, and it's been a big torment to know nothing about him.
I can't escape it. It's taken over my life, trying to find him, trying to find answers.
Mike Bassanelli from the Yakima Police Department says they have done a lot of investigation on this case, but they have not been able to find any actual evidence to determine the cause of his disappearance.
If you don't really find out answers, in the first couple of weeks, then there's a possibility you may never find those answers.
Turner's case is one of the many in Yakima County where someone goes missing and is never found. According to the Yakima County Sheriff's Department, last year there were 567 reported missing persons cases countywide, and in the city of Yakima, there were 279. Mike Russell from the Yakima Sheriff's Department says some of these reported cases are still active till this day.
The 3 most common reasons that I can think of why a person goes missing for all of these years. They're the victim of homicide, they are the victim of some kind of an accidental death and their body is just not located, or they go someplace remote to take their own life.
Russell says sometimes bodies are buried in remote locations, and without any actual evidence or witness testimonies, they may never be found. This is why Turner's mother is asking people to come forward and speak out if they know any information about any missing person.
I would rather know for a fact that he was dead than not knowing.
If anyone knows any information on a missing person, you can give your testimony anonymously by going to Crime Stoppers. Now, we're about to show you the images of 6 people that have been missing for several years now, and their cases are still active. We have Estela Rios Gonzalez, Reyes Macias, Jesus Rodriguez, Cayenne Canfield, Aurelio Villarreal, and Chad Stotz. If anyone knows anything about these missing people, please contact the police department as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you very much, Delmy, for that first part of your special report. Tomorrow, we will have a second part where we speak to the family of the young man whose body was found in the Yakima River in Toppenish. We also talk about a database that families can use for their missing loved ones. The second part of The Missing report airing tomorrow at 6 p.m. Has been a pretty nice start to the week weather-wise, with blue skies, not too much wind. Let's check in with Julia Espinosa.
We've been experiencing some gorgeous couple of days. This weekend was very bright, plenty of sunshine, mild temperatures, and it looks like it's sticking around for the beginning of our work week. So today, plenty of sunshine in place, but taking a look at our quick headlines, looks like that weather is about to shift in a little bit, so we're experiencing cooler temperatures and colder nights as we head into tonight. Those overnight lows will be dropping into the mid-30s, upper 20s in some areas, so you're going to want to bundle up. But again, for some good news, we are looking at sunshine coming our way. So into tonight, we're looking at 27 degrees, chilly weather, but that breezy conditions is expected to calm down overnight, so it's going to be traveling at 5 miles per hour. And again, for some good news, we're reaching 61 degrees on our Tuesday for Halloween. Light wind coming through and plenty of sunshine. I'll let you know what the rest of the week and those numbers look like coming up next on your full Storm Tracker forecast.
All right, we'll look forward to those. Thank you very much, Julia. Double, toil and trouble. Halloween tomorrow, and parents may be facing a lot of trouble figuring out what to do with the massive amounts of candy their kids could collect. Tristan Blocktus shows us how you can have a fun and a healthier Halloween.
When you think Halloween, you think candy. But how much is too much?
I did let them eat whatever they wanted to that first night.
Registered dietitian Rocio Peterson says it's possible for parents to let their kids enjoy the holiday and still be health conscious. She shares her advice.
Good plan would be maybe tonight or tomorrow before going out trick-or-treating, talking about it. What's our plan going to be once we have this big bag of candy?
And part of that plan, making sure your kids don't trick-or-treat on an empty stomach.
So we tend to say, you know, eat a healthy dinner before going trick-or-treating and eat however much you want. And it's a really good learning opportunity to tell kids, how does your belly feel after you ate so much? Does it hurt?
Peterson says you can also use the candy to sweeten up some healthy snacks.
So maybe you have some Whoppers or some Milk Duds left. Opening all those up and putting them with some dried fruit and maybe some cereal, and then you have a little kind of a healthier trail mix.
Local mom Brianna Walker says she indulges in some candy herself, but she's strategic about limiting the amount her kids consume on Halloween.
I got to eat, of course, some of what we had left over from passing out to the other kids. And then that was another way I helped my kids not eat so much by going around too, because they like to hand out candy to the kids that came to our door. And it's always fun, right, to give like a handful to the people that come to your door.
Walter Castro says he's pretty relaxed about Halloween candy and likes for his kids to enjoy this holiday that comes once a year, with one exception.
I think on first night, they could eat as much as they want, but try to stay away from hard candy.
In Yakima, Tristan Balagtas, Action News.
And if you don't want your kids to suffer from candy overload, there are pediatric dentists who will take some of that candy off your hands, or you can even mail it to the troops, or some suggest dropping it off at a local food bank. If you're not a fan of your kids doing some traditional door-to-door trick-or-treating this Halloween, there are some safe alternatives. A few businesses in the Yakima Valley will be handing out candy tomorrow evening. There will also be trunk-or-treating at some local churches. For a complete list of locations for your kids, you can go to KIMATV.com. Of course, as you see, we have some of those options there on the screen. Sunshine, pretty blue skies today. Just what kind of weather, though, is coming for the rest of your week? That's later on in the show. Plus, technology seems to keep advancing on a regular basis. Find out about a cool 3D approach to pay for items that only requires your fingers. And our coverage doesn't stop here. You can find all your local news, weather, sports, and traffic on the KIMA mobile app.